This week, we are tackling the difficult topic of suicide as numbers rise at startling rates, especially among young people.
Yeah, so suicide rates jumped 33% between 1999 and 2019. Then there was a small decrease in 2020. But to put it into perspective, 46,000 people died by suicide in 2020. That's about 1,600 fewer than the year before. That's not much. So it's encouraging, but it's still disturbing. Melanie's joining us now. And Mel, there's still something that these numbers don't show.
Yeah, you see a drop, even if it's small, and you know that could be looked at as positive. But some groups saw huge increases in suicide numbers. Young people of color, notably Black people aged 15 to 34 and Hispanic people 25 to 34 saw double-digit increases in suicide rates in 2020. Now, Jen, you also mentioned that 46,000 people died by suicide, but the CDC estimates 1.38 million people attempted. Now, there is no single cause of suicide. While depression is the most common condition associated with it, it is often undiagnosed or untreated. So people are left with no resources. So some of the health risks involved in suicide, things to watch out for: anxiety or any mood changes, or even a health problem that is painful can put people at risk. All right, taking a look at some of the environmental risk, what they're around. Having access to firearms or drugs, long-term harassment at school, bullying. Maybe it's a relationship problem they just can't move past. Something stressful like a divorce, or in this case, maybe family financial crisis. One indicator of suicide right now is that so many people have lost loved ones because of this pandemic, and also jobs. And then exposure to another person's suicide, or graphic or sensationalized accounts of suicide. Now let's talk about the historical factors to look out for. A previous attempt, maybe a family history of suicide, or a childhood abuse or neglect or trauma. If you know those things that happen, that person just by nature is at risk. Now, there are ways to protect and intervene, to get in there before we get to this level. Connection to family and familial support. If your kid is going away every day and they're on the internet and you're not having that interaction with them, break that. Have some connection with them, those touch points. Teaching problem solving and coping skills at a very young age. My son is he's 9 now, but we go through this. I've been doing this for years because I see sometimes he gets this anxiety. Also, limit access to guns or dangerous pills, those environmental problems. Also, be proactive about mental health. You've got to have those conversations, and we're going to talk about that later this week. When it comes to warning signs, though, I talked with a counselor from Children's Home Society who said you cannot just chalk everything up to them being a teenager. You have to study your child. I think a lot of parents kind of think, oh, that's just normal teenage behavior. How do you distinguish between some of that just growing pains versus that there's actually a mental health issue?
Always have that open conversation with your child and build that relationship with them. As a parent, you're the experts of your child for a lot of the time, so you want to make sure that you're there talking and noticing just a little bit of a difference in sign. You are right, there could be times where the child is just growing, but at the same time, you want to make sure you have those conversations like, hey, everything all right, everything going good, to make sure the child feels like they're still being heard when they're going through these changes to these teenage years.
All right, so I want you to keep these 3 things in mind. I know I will with my young ones. You want to talk. You want to watch for those behavioral changes and any mood changes. These are all reasons that you just might want to get some help. So many resources out there. So as I mentioned, this is a topic that is very personal to me. Late last year, a dear friend of mine's son took his life. It was surreal. It was devastating. As we were preparing for the memorial, the funeral home that we were using reached out and said this is not an isolated incident. They also explained they had never seen so many funerals credited to suicide, and something had to be done. In fact, the day of his memorial, right in the other room, there was a mother holding a viewing for her 15-year-old daughter who died by suicide. So this is something that we have to talk about.
They're angry in some senses. They're just horribly sad. There's some embarrassment as well to it. I mean, there's all these different emotions that a family can go through.
And a lot of families don't like to talk about it because they want to keep it private amongst the family.
Going to talk more about why people don't candidly talk about mental health. Also, how to start those honest conversations that could save a life. Every day this week, we are providing resources. We're going to role play how to have conversations with your kids, kids can have conversations with each other. And then what if your kid brings a problem to you saying, I think a friend is suicidal. We want the resources as well. There are so many out there and they are free. Things for the entire family. And then finally on Friday, we are going to do a phone bank to answer your mental health questions. So this week, we are doing our best to break the silence here on The Morning Show.